We're recording now. I think let's get started with how to handle losses. I think that's the primordial thing, right? We all have our lovely weeks where we kill it, where we're all happy, but then there's those days where the market is very mean to us and the losses become uncontrollable. It's really about being able to control the loss, to be able to stop the bleeding and ensure that you can survive for another day. Ideally, why day traders always fail, and that's kind of like the gimmick of how these prop firms work as well when it comes to their payout cycles and their 10 trading days. They try and just force people to expose themselves to the market more, ideally, like every single time as possible, because the odds of being successful every day is really unlikely. Now, of course, you see us every now and then we get a nice streak going on, but realistically, a lot of people fail every single day because it's just very hard. And the best way to combat going through the hardness is to have a system that you can rely on and that you can trust. If you don't have a set system, and I'm not talking about, like, let's say the perfect model where you get the best entries, you always have the best setups that'll guarantee you a win. I'm talking about a relative system that you can trust in taking, that whatever appears before your screen, be it a 2022 model, a Q3 reversal, turtle soup, whatever you trade, that if it appears 10 times in a row, you can take it 10 times in a row and be sure that even if you're only right 4 times, the gains that you make being right overlap the losses. Now, this is, of course, if you're a risk to reward trader, which is what I do. I go for those big swings, I go for those big moves. If you can identify that you have that system where you just need technically 4 out of 10 wins and you're going to be profitable, because that's the thing. Those wins overlap the losses and they put you in green overall, let's say throughout a week. Throughout a week you take 6 losses, but you're green. It's being able to handle those losses. Because if you don't have a system that you can reliably trust in, then when you have a red day, you're going to feel like you have to make those gains back. Or you're not going to be able to call it quits. Because there are going to be times where you do lose a significant amount and you actually just have to wave the flag and be like, yeah, I can try recovering some of the loss, but I have to be okay with just ending the day red and accepting the fact that today I'm just not going to be green. Tomorrow I might be green, but today I would not. Do you have a set dollar amount where you would call it quits? Ideally, I kind of do. Depends on the sizing of the account. How I used to do it before with my Apex was 200 for the hard lockout. Now I'm kind of being a little bit more flexible, but that's because I know I can do more. But, in that flexibility, I broke my rules and I didn't stop the bleeding, and I kept trying and trying and trying, and eventually, like I told you guys before, I ended up setting myself completely back than where I should have been. There is a moment where you guys have to accept just being wrong and just accept the red. Because when you go open the chart and you see the market, there's always going to be the 2 outcomes. 1, you don't know what the heck the market is doing. Or 2, you know what it's doing and you can read it pretty easily. You can tell, oh, it's doing this and this, probably to go over here. Ideally, you want to trade only the days where you can read it perfectly, or that you can feel confident, like, oh, this is super easy. The days that it's hard, or that you feel like it's confusing, or you have no idea what it wants to do, you want to stay away from that, because you're practically putting yourself in a handicap already. I would say that mathematically, there is certain math that you want to implement as well. You want to make sure that you can take several trades in your account before blowing it. For example, the way that I've been doing, or well, how I did with my Apex when I got my first 40k payout, I did 2 micros the entire time. Why? Because I could confidently believe that with 2 micros, no matter, I think it was, I'm trying to remember the math for it. It was estimatedly... Right, I had to lose around 260 points with 2 micros to blow the account, I think. So, if I had to lose 260 points, I think, wait, is that right? Let me just verify that math. It's more than that. Yeah, right, I don't know, I'm bad at math. Never been good at it. But ideally, right, with 2 micros, if you have a drawdown of 2,500, it's going to take a lot to reach that drawdown, point-wise. If 50 points equals 200 bucks, then you're going to be losing more than 200 points for you to blow that account. Now, if you have 600 points, exactly. So if you know yourself and you know your system, what is the likelihood that you lose 200, that you lose 600 points? Trading an entire month, it's kind of unlikely that you would lose 600 points. Especially if you have a profitable system, right? If you have a profitable system that you win 4 out of 10 times, but the 4 times that you win outmatch the losses and makes you green, then that is positive expectancy. You're very likely to eventually, in time, reach the payout goal, but you're also putting yourself in a position where even if you're wrong, even if you have a red day, it's not going to be the end of you because you have a lot more room to breathe. The thing is that we love, of course, fast, right? We love to be fast, so we oversize. Well, that's what I did with, at the beginning with mine. It took me 2 months. It took me 2 months to get that first 40k payout, doing 2 micros and never adding and never doing any of that stuff. Now I do kind of be a little bit more, because I do kind of like to maneuver a lot more. But, you know, it goes to perspective. Would you guys be willing to spend 2 months grinding with 2 micros with the unlikelihood of blowing your accounts if it meant you guys getting 40k? Absolutely, right? So, if you're in a position where you really want to get your flow back or you really need a payout, like right now, I'm in a position where I can scale out, right? That's why I'm trading 50 accounts. That's why I'm trying to get the big amount that I can, because I'm in that position now to do that. But before I wasn't. Not even close. So I had to take it slow, and I had to take it with a way that I knew confidently that I could achieve it, even if it took me some time. The thing is that everyone wants to get the payout real fast, so they do minis, or they over leverage. Let's say you do 5 micros. 5 micros decreases the amount of points that you need to lose. You need to lose 250 points with 5 micros to blow your account. We see Nasdaq move more than 100 points per 1 minute candle several times, don't we? So imagine exposing yourself to that risk with 5 micros. Let's say there's a 50 point knife. Now you only have around 200 points left of drawdown. Let's say you get another losing trade, lose another 50 points. Now you have 150. So now your breathing room gets real tight. The stress of having to get that right trade to make it back becomes real tighter. It's not that you have 10 chances to be wrong, it's you only have 5 chances to be wrong. You need to have a system where you are that you're right within those 5 chances, and that when you're right, you can manage to trade efficiently to overcome the losses of those 5 instances. Let's say you lose 4. But that's very stressful, that's very anxious, and most often, Nasdaq is a scammer, right? There's going to be, let's say, a time that, let's say you find that perfect trade, you're in it, you're holding it, and then it knifes down, stops you out. Man, you just missed your chance to secure some gains to make up back some of the losses. That happens a lot. And of course, that gives you like that mental scratch in the head. Like, fuck, I gotta get back into for the move that I was looking for. And if you get back in and let's say you're absolutely wrong, bam, you blow the account right there because you miss your chance. So I think the best way that I've been able to handle my losses is by giving myself a lot of breathing room. In the 150k accounts of FTT, I have 7.5k drawdown. I've been doing 5 to 1 mini in those accounts because I have a lot of breathing room to be wrong, especially when I'm doing a lot of soft stops. You guys see me, I get my paper cuts. Usually my trades are either 15, 30 point losses. That's almost like 400 bucks, pushing to 500 sometimes. If I'm doing a mini, if I'm doing 5 micros, it's a lot less. But I still have the breathing room to be wrong, so that when I'm right, which I know I will be right eventually, and when I'm right, I win big, I make it all back and I make it all more. So I'd say the recommendation would be really to put yourself in a position where you don't overexpose yourself. And if you are wrong and you get hit, you're not getting hit too hard to the point that you have to worry about being wrong again. And that's the thing. A lot of people get afraid of being wrong again. So if they're afraid of being wrong again, they mismanage things. They enter a trade, and let's say it's choppy, they exit. They get back in. They exit. They get back in. That little choppiness, those extra paper cuts turn into a wound. And by the time they're right, all they're really doing is making back the loss of the choppiness. Or let's say they get so scared, they immediately put their stop losses at break even, they get stopped out, price runs, they're stressed out, they chase it, they FOMO in, price knives against them, they lose. So having breathing room gives you that access. It also helps you not have that emotional strain where, oh no, I can't be wrong again. I'm comfortable being wrong multiple times. I'm okay getting my ass kicked on stream. You guys have seen, I've had an actual red week. I think it's happened a couple of times that I've had a straight up red week where I don't win. And that's okay, because I know that next week it's likely that I will win. And of course I'll make back the losses of last week. But I'm still living. I'm still in the game. And that's the thing. You gotta be persevering and maintaining yourself to survive in the hard conditions, so that when it's easy, that you can see the move happening right before your eyes, you can enter confidently, maybe even enter with greater sizing. If the setup is looking like an A+ trade, no reason for you to enter light. You might as well just go like, I'm willing to risk an extra size because this looks really easy. This looks super tellable. I might as well do it. Or you might as well average up. And then you can make the most out of the days that are easy. You guys have seen me. When a day is easy, I catch those 100-point moves straight up and I'm done with my day. When it's hard, yeah, I get those paper cuts, I flip-flop around. The difference is clear. The management is a bit different. But when it's easy, I tell you that I straight up hold the trade. I hold it till where I think it's going to go because I feel confident that it's going to go that way and I don't need to scale out early or be afraid. So I make the most out of it. I'd say that's how I manage it. When I'm red, I do try and have like a set limit to how much I'll be red. I'll try and put myself in a position where I lose around 50 points. Kind of max-ish. But sometimes with, you can't control the amount of points we lose in a 1 minute candle. So I also do it based on, like, let's say the quantity of trades. If I take, it's really simple the way that I do it. If I go long, the long fails. Okay, what's the framework for the long failing? Why would a long fail if I think it was going for the buy side? What unfinished business does it have to fail? Okay, I see a bearish setup to why it would fail. I see that it can go towards this area. I'm going to go short using the invalidation of my long setup. Oh, the short also failed. Well, does it have truly intention of going actually higher and this was all just a simple manipulative trap? If I go long again and that fails too, then that's the market giving me a clear heads up. I'm straight up wrong. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Or either the market's just terrible and I shouldn't even be trading it right now. Because most often, the invalidations of a model gives you the confirmation for a different model. Like today, the trade that we took, the longs, after we exited our original longs, I went long, I got stopped out. I went short, I got stopped out. But I used the confirmation of that to go long again and make my profit. If I had been wrong a third time, that's why it's kind of like a 3-strike thing. Then it's just obvious. I need to wait for more data because clearly I'm wrong. I don't know what it's doing right. And you guys will tell that difference with yourselves. When you guys are right, price is going to move lovely towards whichever direction you're thinking about. And if it's kind of rough, well, yeah, it's going to be rough, but it's going to move towards that area. If you're wrong, then you're going to know clearly that, okay, price just absolutely did not do what I was looking for. As much as we all love trading too, I trade every day because it's my job. That's straight up. I would not really trade every single day if I wasn't admin of Kingline. I would not trade the first week of the month. I would never really touch NFP protocol weeks because they are the weeks where the market tends to be a lot more dramatic and a lot more ruthless. I know that week is kind of like my weakest week, so I should stay away from that week technically. And since it's my job, I kind of break my rule by participating, but it's with the in mind that I should be risking less, I should be managing differently, I should be treating it differently as well. Since you guys don't have that responsibility, I'd really say you really just want to trade the market whenever you feel confident in what it's doing. The day or the moment that you don't have any clue what it's doing, don't even bother trading, because preservation of capital is really how people thrive in this game as day traders. They don't engage when the market is terrible. They don't engage when every day. They engage only in the moments that it's suitable for them. The day before Thursday, before NFP, I would treat that day as the plague. After a whole, like the day that I should have never overtraded a holiday week with NFP protocol. I should have never done that. And I suffered the consequences for doing that. I was about to get a 40k payout on Apex. I fucking ruined that. And that's a consequence of it. And I'm telling you guys, from my experience, it's never gonna work out overexposing yourselves on the hardest days of the market. It's never gonna work out in the long term. And that's why I'd say my most profitable friends, they only trade certain days. The days that suit them. And you kind of want to do that the same as well. You want to trade only the days that suit you or the sessions that suit you. Because sometimes AM session is going to be amazing, but other times it's going to be miserable. So why even bother? Just go touch grass, come back later in the PM session, see if it's better. If it's not, don't trade the day. Or other times where you trade the AM session, but you still want to keep trading, so you trade the PM session and you lose everything you made in the AM. Was it worth it? Was it worth overexposing yourself? Usually it tends not to be, right? Yeah, I can do that, Greg. I think, yeah, for sure, I can do that. I can give you my personal opinion, like I would do that, but kind of make it seem like a little bit hypocritical, so I'd have to give like a little warning. Yeah, I have to get to that. I'm definitely gonna do that. I have to add the indicator, which I did not do. I have to do that today or tomorrow. But yeah, that'd be my advice on how to handle the risk and how to prevent bleeding. Another little things that we can talk about is, I'd say the burden that comes with the expectations of trading. This gives a lot of weight to our shoulders. At least from my experience, it gave a lot of weight to me, right? If people depend on you to make something out of this, or if people don't believe you but you need to show some results. Or in some cases, let's say you were doing amazingly and people think you're doing amazingly, but then you fail. And now you have to act like you're still doing amazingly, but deep down you're desperately trying to fix things, trying to make it back to your prime. These burdens are things that affect your psychology and lock you out from your maximum potential. When you engage into the market, you gotta be light as a feather. You gotta be honest with yourself, firstly. You gotta be honest with your surroundings. And you gotta have expectations set for what you have to have expectations set for everything that we are doing. I remember once I told my father that, oh man, I'm gonna be making so much money. Look at this. I have these prop firms. I'm managing, I don't know, like fucking 3 million. I think it was like that. That's kind of how it goes. I'm managing 3 million. I'm gonna change everything. Psh, I didn't do that. In the end, it turns out that I fucking blew all of those accounts. So all of that yapping that I did didn't matter. And I acted like, oh no, everything is fine. But deep down, I'm like, fuck, I blew everything out. What am I gonna show for all of the time that I'm spending on my computer after high school instead of going to college? And that became a burden to me. It was something that held me back, and it was something that stopped me from having a light approach to the market. I had that weight every time I woke up that I needed to do something, I needed to get results so I can have something to show. And that's a shackle in itself. So an encouraging thing I'd say is you gotta lighten whatever burdens you have with honesty. And it's like the saying, the truth sets you free. So you have to be honest with certain things. You can't act it out. If people depend on you, you gotta straight up tell them that, listen, I'm trying, this shit is hard, I don't think I'm gonna do it this way, maybe it's gonna take me a lot longer, I have no idea, but I'm gonna keep trying. Or, hey, I made a couple of payouts, I'm starting to get there, but it's not something that I'm a professional yet, and it's gonna take me more time. Or, let's say, a lot of people have certain expectations on you. They think you're, let's say, a badass. You gotta tell them straight up, nah, I'm still learning this game as everyone else. I blew my accounts, but I'll keep going and eventually I'll make it. Once you free yourself of weights, it becomes so much easier for you. And especially once you free yourself from the weights on yourself, which is, I need to do this to be free. It definitely leads to desperation to try and get paid, right? We all have that effect that we're so close to the payout and then we blow it because we get desperate for it. You gotta kind of detach yourself from that. You gotta instead, that's why I don't care about money. I care more about points. For me, it's, okay, I want to ideally make these set amount of points every day, and eventually I trust that a payout will come after I've accumulated enough points. But if you're desperate on the money aspect, then it's going to reach that point where the more you chase it, the more it runs away from you. And that's something that affects all of us. Also, not telling people you're going to make all that money helps you not set yourself up to failure. Yeah, exactly. As B-Turn is saying, you want to be realistic that this is a hard game. Not everyone makes it, but you're going to do your best. And you're going to focus, instead of focusing on making money, what you're going to focus is being consistent. Trust that if you make your main focus consistency, the money will come. It will be there. But if you don't make that your main focus, it's never going to be present. And we've all had those landscapes. Like I say, I tell this to a certain amount of people. I once had 3 months of 100% win rate. Every day 100 points. For 3 months in a row. I thought I was the king of the world. I thought I mastered the market. I thought I was going to be a millionaire. And I blew all of those gains in 1 month. And I blew all of that money. I got my ass kicked. Because I was chasing the money. And I was focusing on making more money than even being consistent. I thought, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm making money. It doesn't matter if my setup is risky. It doesn't matter if my entry is sloppy. The process where the gold really comes from. I think that would be my wisdom from that aspect. Let's see, what else can we talk about? I think now we can talk about some TA stuff. So just give me a moment. Alright, so I'm gonna cut this video here.